All right, what's up? Doing another live tarot reading because I'm enjoying these a lot. And today I just kind of picked a topic that I've been following the situation in North Korea, which is very interesting. Yeah. Before I get into that, let me just remind you that I am kind of looking for people that want to have a live tarot reading. And if that is you, feel free to um, drop me a message on Instagram. You can find my Instagram in the information for this video, and just DM me and we can set it up. And I will do a tarot reading on any issue that you're interested in. And yeah, so other things to mention. Let's see. I think I forgot last time to mention that I, of course, can always be reached for personal tarot readings directly at. Still getting the hang of this software. Superpeer. There you go. You can contact me directly for as short as 15 minutes up to an hour, and I will read on any issue that you're facing and so on. Also, if you have any suggestions for future tarot readings, let me know in the information. I will. I'm open to pretty much anything in the news that's going on that you'd like to know the future about. I've done a lot of readings lately on elections, Brazil's election, America elections, anything in the news. Just let me know, and I will do a reading. I have two decks with me today. The one that I've talked about before, Steve Aylett's tarot deck, and I also have the old Rider Waite. But I kind of want to try something with the Steve Aylett tarot because I haven't really gotten used to this tarot, and I want to see how well I feel connected to its outcome and its imagery. Because I think you can use any tarot deck that you want, and you can come up with good results if you're a good reader. But then if you're not a good reader, it doesn't matter what deck you read because you're not going to be connecting to these energies. So the deck is really just a channel that allows you to see these energies a little more clearly and kind of respond to them in a way that you can see things that maybe you were kind of aware of, but you can see much more clearly. And with the Steve Aylett tarot deck, I'm going to try this and see how well connected. If I feel like I'm not really connecting with the imagery, I may change back to Rider Waite. But for now, I'm going to try it because it has some cool art. What else we got? And yeah, it's like I said, it's kind of a very dystopian, darkly humorous deck that I'm enjoying. Brought to you by author Steve Aylett. So check it out. It's a good deck. So I think today in this reading with North Korea, and I'm always been interested in North Korea. I lived in South Korea for, oh, people are showing up. Hi, Christy. Hi, Mark. And I lived in South Korea before for 1 year teaching English. So I'm right now in Italy and heading towards Asia, and I would love to visit South Korea again, but not if there's going to be war. It's kind of like I would love to visit Taiwan, but not right now. Doesn't seem like the best time right now. And I've done readings on Taiwan. I did a reading also on North Korea earlier this year, but that was for most of 2022. I want to look now at North Korea through about February. I want to see the next 3 or 4 months, the energy I'm seeing coming from North Korea, because yeah, there's been a lot of missile tests lately, and what is going on with that? Is this just bluffing? If you guys have any specific questions about North Korea or other things in the news, I can even address some other things after I do the North Korea reading. So feel free to leave a message if you have anything in particular that you'd like me to address about North Korea, about Asia, or about the news in general. I'm also doing on Sunday night, New York time, 9 p.m. a reading on Europe and the UK, all the changes that are going on there. And yeah, but really, I'm open to quick readings on anything. But I was thinking for this reading on North Korea, I want to kind of take a look at North Korea, their energy right now, but also how they're going to be the dynamic energy between North Korea and some other countries, mainly the United States, South Korea, and Japan. And I also kind of want to take a look at the connection between Russia and between China and North Korea to see what is like how much do they really have their back, or are they just kind of like their what level of cooperation, and how well do they see them as an ally? So I'm wondering if I should wait. I love these lives, and I'm enjoying that they're getting more views, and they're so easy to do. And I would love to do these every day if I can. So feel free to subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and we'll start taking a look. If you don't know my channel, I think my readings are pretty good. Like, I'm always very skeptical about not just other psychic readers, but my own abilities. But over this year, my readings have been, I would say, 90s, in the upper 90 percentile accuracy. The only one that I'm not very fond of, that I feel like I kind of dropped the ball on, and was the economy one for 2022. And I think the reason for that is I'm an energy reader, and it's much easier for me to read the energy of an individual or a country rather than, the entire market, like the economy. That's just that's very hard for me to read. So I think the best readings I've done have always been about individuals or about, specific things, places, and so on. So I'm going to begin, and let's take a look first at the energy coming from North Korea right now. And if you guys have a preference too about when I do my readings, sometimes I do the cards shuffle like this. I just kind of let a card jump out, but sometimes I spread them out and I show the cards. If you have a preference, let me know. But for now, I like doing this. And let's see the general energy coming from North Korea. And for anyone just coming on, I'm using somewhat of an unorthodox tarot deck, but use whatever you want. And I'm more of a chaos magician myself, so I think you can use any technique, any modality that you want. There's no wrong way to do magic. So, North Korea. All right, card came up. Interesting. So this deck is very interesting in that it has not just images and a descriptor, but it also has a quote at the top, it's just a little more, it's a very tangential way of approaching this energy, because rather than tell you what it means, it's not that kind of a quote. It's a quote that is kind of very ambiguous, very open-ended, and it really allows you to move with the energy and see what it is. So the card that came up for North Korea was Fortune, and this is really the first time I've used this deck in an extreme way. So this this deck is fascinating. So there's like a woman holding possibly a tarot card herself, and behind her there's like a monkey, and the quotation is, "The roof exists." The roof, like the roof of a building, exists only to conceal what the world is about to heap upon you. The roof exists only to conceal what the world is about to heap upon you. That's fascinating. Now, in the standard Rider-Waite tarot deck, the Fortune card, to me, is usually more positive, but in this instance, I don't know, I'm getting more of a not good feeling from North Korea on this, like this energy it's much lower energy for North Korea. Like I said, I'm getting used to this deck, but it's a fun deck. Also, the coloring is very interesting because colors carry an energy into themselves, and a lot of these decks are very bright. These cards are very bright, but with this card, Fortune, much bleaker looking to me, more like 1950s black and white imagery. This could be like a Twilight Zone episode. The woman and her monkey. So anyways, I'm going to hold off on that for now. Let's take a look now at the relationship between the U.S. and China. Not the U.S. and China. U.S. and North Korea. The U.S. recently said, I believe, if I'm getting this right, that if North Korea used nuclear weapons, the U.S., it would be basically the end of a regime. That's a pretty direct threat, I would say, from the U.S. towards North Korea. Biden has said a lot of things, though, that the White House will like pedal back on. So I don't know how serious they are about that. Let's see what the energy we have coming from between North Korea and the United States right now. Okay. Interesting. So the card that came up is called the Chef. This deck is so fascinating. So the Chef, again, this is the first time I've seen this card, and it looks kind of like a pope to me, like maybe the Hierophant in a standard tarot deck, but it's like a frog, and he's wearing like rings on his fingers, and he's got a crab. And the quote is, "The coexistence of lobsters and chefs suggests a dispiriting sort of order." That is fascinating. So in terms of the United States and Korea, North Korea, um, I'm feeling more like the United States is the chef here, and that the lobster is North Korea. This energy is, I don't know, there's certainly this feeling that something's about to change between the US and North Korea. That's what I'm getting from this. That I think the US wants something to happen in some ways, but they're also obviously want to be very cautious about it, don't want nuclear war. Okay, so I'm going to hold off on that for now again. And now I'm going to take a look at the relationship between North Korea and South Korea. And when I lived in South Korea, I was living right near Seoul, and which is very close to the border. It's such a fascinating place because Seoul is such a dynamic place. Very creative, high energy, a lot of business and all kinds of things going on. Millions of people in the greater Seoul area, and so close to the border and this other way of life right across the border. So was I doing Japan in North Korea? Or yeah, I got kind of sidetracked because I was thinking about South Korea. So between Japan and North Korea, let's look at that energy right now. Japan has not received, but there's been some missiles flying over Japan, fired by North Korea, which Japan obviously doesn't like, and things are afoot. Energy between Japan and North Korea. Okay, here we go. The spiral. Wow, interesting. So here's the spiral, which is, again, this is another card that I've seen for the first time with this new deck. And this is, it's like a staircase. And the spiral, I think of things like DNA and this kind of paradox, and a spiral is a type of energy, like a vortex that pulls energy into it. And on this staircase, there are all these, looks like dice. So there's clearly a lot of ambiguity and things to be determined. But the quotation, we can all see it coming. The question is whether to pretend surprise. So we can all see it coming. The energy between Japan and North Korea. Is this indicate that North Korea is going to do some kind of attack? I'm hesitating on that, but I'm feeling like there's like some energy coming that, yeah, okay, let's take a look back. Finally, I'm going to look at between South Korea and North Korea. Like I said, those two countries right next to each other. South Korea, I don't think wants war, but one thing interesting about South Korea that I learned when I lived there is that every young man that grows up in the country has to serve 2 years military service. You can get out of it maybe if you have some kind of an illness or an issue that prevents you from doing physical work, but really, like every young man, more or less, in the country, 2 years of their life spent in military training, because they never know at any point if there might be war with North Korea. So let's look at the relationship right now between the energy between North and South Korea. All right. And again, I'm working with the Alit Tarot, which is very unorthodox tarot, but it allows you to tap into some different energies and see things from new perspectives. I love working with different tarot decks. So this card that came up is called the Gardener. So these terms, you may be like, what's the Gardener? That's not in my standard tarot deck. Where's the High Priestess? Where's the Knight of Swords and so on? But it's basically because in life there are situations, archetypes that recur in different ways. And every tarot deck is basically like a book. It's a perspective on the world from the author, but it's the same world ultimately. And these angles and perceptions of the world allow you to see things in different ways. So the Gardener, and the quotation for this one is, I'm always mistaken for a mastermind because I whisper my demands. Interesting. So in terms of this, I'm feeling from this energy that this is more North Korea right here. The demands that North Korea's dictator more or less is making and inflicting upon the rest of the world. So I think basically South Korea, I'm getting the energy is that basically they're trying to follow, and keep peace and establish order, but there's still this energy from North Korea of this kind of hungry energy to break out. I know COVID has not been well for North Korea. They have, you feel that from North Korea, these economic problems that are just, they're getting tense, and it's just building up. So for those of you just joining, the energy I saw from North Korea, Fortune, which is, it's like something's afoot, and there's this kind of, I'm feeling it like negative in this perspective, like this black and white 50s perspective. And then between United States and North Korea, I'm seeing the Chef, which again, this is a very unorthodox tarot deck, but the imagery presents the energy. And there's like this frog and this lobster, and I'm feeling like this is the US and this is North Korea. So overall, this energy is the US wants to do something, North Korea wants a change. There's just this feeling that something's going to happen. South Korea, they don't want to change. They want things to basically stay the same. No, don't make waves. Japan, I'm getting this spiral energy in which they're fearful that something could happen, but they obviously don't want something to happen. But they see that if something happens, it's going to be like a domino, and then it's just going to trigger a lot of other things. So that's what I'm getting. But let's take a look now. That's the energies. Let's take a look at the potential for war between now and February. So that's basically the time scale I'm limiting this to. And I did a reading before on the relationship between Taiwan and China, potential for war there. Basically, I did not see in 2022 a war between Taiwan and China, but I have not looked beyond 2022. Maybe that's something I need to do in the future. If you guys have any suggestions for other things you'd like me to address, thoughts on China invading? Oh, hey, Christy. I did a reading on that. If you look on my channel and search for Taiwan, I did a reading much earlier in the year for 2022, but that's a good idea. I may update that because take a look through the next months of 2023, because I really limited myself to, yeah, exactly. Okay. That's a good idea. I may do that very soon, because I would love to visit Taiwan, as I've said, and I'm heading to Asia next in about a week and a half, but I don't plan to go to Korea or Taiwan at this point unless things kind of simmer down. So yeah. All right, so let's go back to North Korea. I want to see what is the potential between now and February of them actually firing a missile at anybody, like United States, Japan, South Korea. What is their potential for actually and I don't mean over Japan or over some country. I mean like aiming to hit land and inflict damage. What is the potential for that? The great thing about these lives is I can feel the energy of people when they're watching this. So you guys helping me to put your attention on that energy as well. Think about the possibility of these things happening. All right, that came right out. Okay, so again, I'm saying that this is a new deck to me. This is a very unorthodox chaos magic type deck in which I'm working with this energy as well. I'm new to this, so you guys feel free to chime in if you have any suggestions. But when I looked at whether North Korea will fire a missile intentionally to inflict damage on any country, I'm seeing the Strength card. Strength card is in this. This is one of those cards that is in your standard tarot deck. It's the one with the woman holding the lion, kind of about restraining your your more primitive animal nature. Now, in terms of that, I don't want to say that this is that same imagery, because if that card had come up, let me see if I can find it in my Rider Waite. If that card had come up, I would be like, okay, North Korea, they are not going to fire a missile because that's restraint, that's holding back that energy. But in this deck, okay, here we go. So this is your standard strength card. This is like restraint. But this strength card has a quote too. The truth halves of one picture. The truth halves, and that's hyphenated. I don't know if you can see that. Truth halves. This is great. The language is so fluid in this deck. But so there's two women apparently, and they seem to be both united, but also, kind of opposites. Like she has purple skin, she has white skin, whatever. And it's kind of like yin and yang energy I'm getting. Or also like, I'm thinking of like an atom, the energy between the protons and the electrons. Also in the background though, I'm seeing like this like mushroom type, but also like a missile imagery. This is fascinating. I'm not clear on this imagery. I'm going to do a reading, I think, with my standard deck, because I'm so much better, more acquainted with that one. What a card really allows you to do is to kind of find a path to the energy. I encourage everybody to become a tarot reader because it's something that will affect how you view your entire life, and you get better at it. So let's look at the North Korea's intention or possibility of firing a missile. All right. Interesting. So Ace of Swords, this is much clearer to me. Ace of Swords is a very strategic card. But it's also, I don't know, it's very practical in some sense, but it's also very, you wouldn't fire a missile without a very clear plan. And I don't feel that North Korea has that kind of a plan at this point. So this is like the kind of card that you would only do if you were really, like, had a goal in mind, like taking back South Korea, or, I don't know. That doesn't feel like an attack card to me. This feels much more like a kind of like hold your ground, plan things, plot things out. I'm gonna go deeper in this though, because there's something going on here. Like if let's look at the possibility of the U.S. or any other country attacking North Korea like preemptively. The U.S., like I said, has said that if North Korea used nuclear weapons, it would be like, I can't remember the exact wording. Like it would require regime change, and that's pretty serious to say that. That's like some like CIA interfering in Iran type stuff. Like to say that you would initiate regime change. That's pretty. Is it? There's what do they say? Them fighting words. So I'm looking now at the possibility of any other country. I would guess the U.S. most likely, of any country attacking preemptively. So I'm seeing with this the emperor, and this is fascinating because when I did my Ukraine readings earlier in the year, the emperor was Russia basically, was Putin, and so if the United States or any other country would be the emperor, basically the emperor is a person who feels so self-righteous, so like in charge of things, and like they don't listen to anybody. The thing about Putin, like he's basically, this is his idea of how things are. So if the United States, which I'm guessing this is most likely, feels this way, basically they're very serious. Like I wouldn't. I think North Korea, their whole game for what decades now has been, bluff, push, but don't attack, don't go too far. But I'm wondering if like shooting all these missile tests, especially over Japan and so on, if they're like pushing things too far. And I'm not necessarily saying that it's going to be a direct attack, but I feel like the U.S. is planning something, or I'm feeling some energy. Like the emperor just doesn't sit still. Like he plans, he thinks things through. So if it's not a direct missile attack, I could see being some kind of a situation in which they provoke North Korea so that it looks like they're attacking, but something is going on. So trying to think what else we could ask about North Korea right now. I want to see how much Russia and China has North Korea's back if there were a war. Let's take a look first at Russia. Now, obviously, Russia is dealing with its own war right now, so I don't think they want another war to have to supply. So let's take a look at the energy right now between Russia and China. All right. Seeing the world. The world is a very like ethereal card in which I don't see this as like, I mean, I see this as, sympathetic toward North Korea and see them as an ally, but I don't see this as a major grounded card. Like it's not a disc card or a pentacles card. It's a very ethereal energy in which, yeah, their energy is but they're far away, and I'm not feeling a strong physical support connection between Russia and North Korea. Let's take a look at China. China is a major supplier for North Korea. Let's look at the energy between China and North Korea right now. Interesting. Wheel of Fortune card came up. Both of these cards are very, they're not like, I don't think of them as strong, like physical support connections or support mechanisms. Now with Wheel of Fortune though, it's usually a positive connection. So I think, in some ways, I think if there were some kind of war between North Korea and the US, or North Korea and anywhere else, South Korea, Japan, China would ultimately benefit. Like China feels like it's win-win for them, like because they get to kind of act as more of a power base in the Asia, and uh, I'm not saying they want a war, but I'm saying like if it happens, they're okay with that, and they have supplies and manufacturing to back it up. So yeah, that's basically what I'm seeing with those countries. But I still feel like I'm not getting a clear image on the possibility of war between now and in February. I'm going to take a look. I think the last thing I'm going to look at is, yeah, basically the possibility of. Oh, okay. See you, Chrissy. Yeah. Yeah, this has been a long reading for those of you just joining. I've already done looked at 8 different aspects of this war, of this situation between North Korea and missile tests that have been going on lately. And yeah, so feel free to rewatch it later. But I'm still trying to get a clear image of whether the possibility of war is likely to happen between now and February. I think I'm gonna do a month by month look right now. So we're in October. I'll do November, December, January, and then we'll conclude this reading. So November, possibility of war. And when I say war, I don't necessarily mean full-on war, but I mean, some attack between countries that is clearly an attack. November. And if there are any other aspects too of this situation you'd like me to look at, let me know ASAP. All right. November, I'm seeing the Four of Swords. That doesn't seem like, I don't see that as an action card. So I'm thinking November is going to be pretty quiet. December. December, I'm seeing Five of Pentacles. I wouldn't describe this as a war card, but it does seem like some situation in which I'm getting the energy that North Korea is kind of suffering more from this card, that as winter's coming on, I feel like just the whole economy is contracting. I don't think this is necessarily going to be war in this month, but I think in December there's North Korea and its leaders are just they're struggling, and they don't know what to do. So the possibility of more missile tests, I think, is very high, especially in December. Let's look at January. Is this leading though to a war? Is this going to build up, or is there going to be a peaceful resolution or a peaceful transfer of power? That would be ideal, of course. January. Thank you once again for putting your energy on this reading. Nothing is coming out clearly. Okay. Getting the Four of Pentacles. And this is a very grounded card, a very holding in card. I don't see this as war in January. So overall, between now and January, I'm not seeing a war. I mean, I'm going to take a look at February too. One more month. I'm not looking for a war. That's not why I'm doing another month. But I want to see the possibilities. All right. Interesting. Five of Cups. I'm feeling from this is North Korea, and again, I think this is just more suffering on North Korea's part. This whole energy, though, for North Korea. Coming back to this other deck I was using earlier, the Fortune card. There's this animal nature behind it all, in which this suffering they're continuing to endure. It's like it is like an animal lashing out. It's like, they feel trapped, and I feel sorry for them in a lot of ways, the people of North Korea. I don't feel sorry for the leader, but yeah, I mean, I would love some kind of peaceful transition to a better economy for North Korea, a better situation. So for those of you who didn't hear, I basically read for a lot of the relationships between the US and North Korea, Japan and North Korea, South Korea and North Korea, Russia and China, whether they would back North Korea in a war. And I looked at the possibilities of war between now and February, and I'm not seeing a war between now and February. I'm seeing the U.S. acting as the emperor, as this very firm hand in which they're like ready to seriously do something if North Korea does attack any of its nearby countries or anyone. But I don't see this coming to war. Which doesn't mean that the U.S. and other countries aren't doing things to affect North Korea. I think that's constantly happening, but I don't see a physical war between now and February. Yeah. I guess before I wrap this reading up, any other questions about North Korea you guys want to know? Or any other news items you want to know? If it's something too big, I'll probably do a separate reading on it. We got the suggestion, Christy suggested I do a reading on China and Taiwan, which I'm thinking of doing that. Not today, maybe tomorrow or the next few days. And I will be active on Sunday. I'll be doing a reading on the UK and Europe. Any Europe related questions then, save them. But, oh yeah, it's on. So if you always want to reach me directly, you can do so at SuperPeer, and with any personal issues that you want me to address in your life. I also do life coaching, and yeah, I'm also looking for people that are interested in doing live tarot readings. I'm doing these for free, so if you'd like to come on and do a live tarot reading with me, I will address any issue that you're facing that you'd like me to do a reading on, or just do a general reading on your life and see what you have coming. And all you have to do basically is contact me on Instagram. My information's in the video info, and I will have you on, and totally free, and it'll be fun. But yeah. All right, I think I'm going to wrap this reading up, and thank you for everyone who watched, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.